You're like a circle that floats around me, keeping me safe and sound. And when I fall, you tied a rope to me. You're blessing me every day. I was down with an illusion, like a sparrow with broken wings. But now I shine with your reflection on me. I'm getting back up on my feet. That you showed up was written in my palm. You are a statement, explode like a bomb. I get to push myself to victory. You make me winner. You cut me loose and set me free. You make me win in every way. You showed me how to spread my wings. Yes, I'm the winner of the day. You cut me loose and set me free. You make
Good morning. Good morning. Hello. I am actually not Mona, as it said before in our intro, but I am very close friends and colleagues with Mona, and I am Michelle Kalkan, and I am also a certified Oola life coach, along with the certified Oola Green Gap program coach. And a little personal background about me. I have a life coaching business and inspirational speaker business, and it's called Solga with Michelle, and I can give you details about that at the end of the presentation, how you can get in touch with me in any way that I can help you, any questions that I can help answer, any information that I could give you that I have covered in this presentation. So again, welcome. Go grab your cup of coffee, grab some water, grab some pen and paper, because there's going to be some notes to be taken. And my topic today is going from broke to woke. And I thought that was highly creative. That was not, I cannot take credit for that. That was borrowed from Philip. So thanks for that. And March. So we think of luck and green. And so me being a certified Green Gap coach allows me to really dive into aspects of finance that I personally may not have gone through, but I'm able to see other people's situations and be able to have an introspect of financial situations that kind of puts me in a place where I'm able to assist all different kinds. And the one thing that I found in the finance world is that either A, you're on top or you're on bottom. There's nowhere in between. And I believe the reason for that is, and it starts, and not a lot of financial programs are going to tell you this, but it starts with mindset. And so there's tons of finance and personal development programs that feature money, but the one key factor that's missing is that mindset part. And so if you don't have the mindset, you either are going from I have tons and tons and tons of money to I lost it all, because in your mind, you aren't able to obtain that image in your mind that you're able to keep it. So there's that statistic that says that, you know, the person who wins the lottery, they end up losing it in like X amount of years because they don't know how to manage that money. And even though they can go to a financial advisor and they can go and do their different self-development programs, they are lacking that part because they haven't really gone there in the mind yet. So there are programs that are key. You definitely need those financial advisors. You definitely need all of the steps and procedures, but you also need to be able to mentally attain the foresight and the inside belief that you're going to be rich and you can keep that money. And I will also preface with, pardon me with my voice, I'm going to have to take a sip of water really quick because I was having some sinus stuff. I'm in Florida and there's lots and lots of pollen and it's like gone to my throat. So I really apologize. So anywhere you are in finances, it could be where you are directly affected with COVID, because that seems to be the hot topic with this past year, people being furloughed, people either having their kids at home and they aren't able to do their jobs, or they were, like I said, furloughed, or maybe they were a business owner and they completely lost their business. And so we've had to quote the keyword or the trendy word is pivot. And we've had to really kind of find a new solution. And so where I kind of come into play right now is I'm really going to address a personal finance standpoint, although the strategy and the program that I support could apply to a business finance as well. But the personal finance is where I'm really going. And maybe this opportunity where you have had to go down to one income, or maybe you're a single mom and you've really had to face different situations of what can I do without and what can I combine with others. And a little history of me and where I came from. I literally was at a place where I was, as they say, rock bottom in my finances. And what does that mean? So rock bottom for me was being a single mom. I had a foreclosure that we were going through as, being a divorced situation. I had over, I'm going to say $60,000 in credit cards that I wasn't able to pay. I had a car that was repossessed, and I liked my car. It was Ruby. She was my Jeep. And I was at work one day and I look outside and my friend said, "Hey, Michelle, your Jeep, I think is being towed away." And I'm like, nah. I look out there, my Jeep is gone. No lie. That was, talk about a humbling experience. I got some humility really quick. So being upside down, literally, at that point, thank goodness that my lease happened to be up because I didn't have the payments to pay for my lease that I was in. And so I was walking into a situation with 2 kids and no home to live in, no car to drive, and I had a job, but I didn't have enough to even begin to pull myself out of that hole, to figure out what to do with the foreclosure and to go from there. And so that's kind of where my life coaching business kicks in. There's a framework that we use in our coaching program called the Oola Green Gap program. And what I was able to do, cut to the amount of time that's gone since then till now, I literally have brought my credit score back up into a 700. I'm talking, I was like 300. And you probably didn't even know 300 was available, but yep, I was there at 300. So I'm now in the 700s. I own my car. We own our house. I have 0 credit card debt. And I have an account for my children to attend college for both of them. So, and then, of course, the savings account and whatnot, and I'm now beginning the investments. So I'm like, I think I'm all big time. So if anyone has gone from broke to woke, then that would be me. And I'm not saying this to say, oh, look at me, wah, wah, but I'm saying this because there's no situation that a person can be in. They can't come to me and say, man, I don't want to tell you this, but I'm XYZ, because I've been there. And believe me, I can empathize with you and I can cry with you and I can sympathize with you, but I can also tell you what I did in the framework that I used that I can help you also be able to pull out of that. So the first thing I'm always going to start with is that mindset. And what I do when I hold, and actually I'm holding one right now, I have like a Green Gap boot camp per se. And it's a challenge, and it's a 4-week challenge. And I take 1 week exclusively to talk about that mindset. And we work on affirmations and we work on visualizations and we do vision boards, because it's important that in your mind that you can attain that, because what your mind can attain, your life can manifest. Whatever you can see in that head, whatever you can visualize, whatever you can feel to your core, to your soul, through my Solga, you can absolutely have in real life. And so there are structures that are in place. There are proven formulas that work. And the Oola Green Gap program is one of them. But the key piece is that you can, and I can't say this enough, you must be able to visualize and embody that principle that you are wealthy, you are rich, you are enough. Financial abundance is unlimited. And so that's a practice. And that's something that each one of us, myself included, I continue to do today. And a big part of that also is the gratitude piece. And so you, let's say that you were in a settlement claim. You had a cell phone, and all of a sudden the company you were in has a claim against it, whatever, and you get a check in the mail and it's $100. And you were like, holy cow, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't even know. The largest part of that is the gratitude. And whatever you do with your principles of spirituality and tithing, that's you. I won't steer you either way. But by recognizing that good that was given to us, and by recognizing that we do deserve this, and I fully believe in giving back, then that's a way that we can continue to have that prosperity mindset, and that's how the structure is going to work. So if you ever, if there's one thing that I want you to walk away and you remember me of, that girl is full of affirmations, and that girl is full of making sure that your mind is right. And so I can help do that. I'd be more than happy to get on a Zoom call with you, or I can message you back and forth, and I can help you write some affirmations that fit for you. Because sometimes when we do those, it's like, well, this doesn't, I don't feel wealthy right now, and I'm saying this. Fake it till you make it. I mean, that's kind of a trendy, simple statement that people say. I don't know that I love that statement, but it's true. You continue to say those words until you believe them. So as we're kind of going past that mindset, of which I cover every single week, we start to get into the meats and potatoes, interesting analogy, of the Green Gap program. And this is a program. Let me talk a little bit about Oola for a second. So people ask me, what is Oola? And it's simple. It's a word, Oola. It is short for ooh la la. So when you're in the washer and you pull out those pants and you're getting all the wrinkles out and you're getting ready to fold them, and there's a $50 bill. You're like, what? Ooh la la, that feels ooh la la. And so our two founders, Dr. Dave and Dr. Troy, who are the Oola guys, they didn't like the word ooh la la. And they were like, nah, one of them, Dr. Dave, who's great sense of humor, he's like, no, that's not working. He's like, I want to say Oola. So it hit. And people like it. And there are books, and they are bestsellers. Every single one of them. There's 3 of them. It began with the Oola for Balance. Then it went to the Oola for Women. Then it went to Oola for Christians. Every single one of them is a bestseller, because the framework just works. And it doesn't matter who you are, where you came from. It's simple, and it's methodical, and it's thought through, and it's stable, and anybody and everybody can use it. And so we have this proven formula in Oola. And the formula behind Oola, besides the Green Gap, is basically, probably many of you have heard the wheel of life, where you have this balance. And what we like to call in Oola is, if you visualized a bicycle wheel. And so you've got your wheel in the center, you have your hub, or you have like where it holds it together. And then each little thing, the little spoke that comes out to the side, makes that wheel roll, pretty freely. So each one of those spokes has to do with a part of our life. And we call it the 7 F's of Oola. So we have fitness, finance, family, field, which is your career, faith, friends, and fun. And what you want to do ultimately is to have all of those 7 F's balanced, because your wheel, the 7 F's that are supporting your wheel, are just flowing. Now, could you be down on one of your F's? Absolutely. Let's say finance is not your strong suit. So would your wheel still roll? Yes, but it's going to be proclivity. And once your finance is down, then you're probably going to start having problems in your family, because your kids are going to ask you for money and you don't have the money to help, or you and your spouse or your partner are going to have problems. And so your family part is going to be lacking. So now you got 2 spokes of your 7 spokes, and you're like, oh, I'm riding my bike, but I'm not very smooth. So that's why we start to go with our Oola life, and we want to have all those 7 F's balanced. And when we have those 7 F's balanced, our life works. And that's what we call living an Oola life. And so Oola is a feeling. It is knowing that you are okay where you are, because it's not to be better than someone else, but it's to be better than you were yesterday, or better than you were 5 minutes ago. And so to bring us back to our finance topic, we're going to take one of those F's, and that's our finance. And so when we first kind of start to get into this, we start to kind of assess, where are we? And so there's like a questionnaire of about 10 questions that we ask, of kind of anything from, do you have a savings account, to, are you happy at your job that you're at? And we start to assess where we are, because we cannot move forward to figure out where we're going next until we figure out where we are. It's just like if we have a GPS, we get in our car and we're going to plug in those coordinates. Okay, I'm going to Sally's house. Okay, well, the GPS knows exactly where to take you. That's at 22 West Main Street. but the GPS cannot assess where you're going until it says, oh, you're in 123 Broke Lane. So we need to find out where we are before we can move forward. And that's a large part. And it doesn't mean that you need to judge yourself or tell yourself, oh man, I'm upside down here. I'm doing that wrong. I don't have a savings. I have a job I hate. That is okay, because we've all been there, or we're all going through that. And the beautiful thing about Oola is we have a community, and Mona and I work together, and we even help each other. We're accountability partners together, because if I say something, chances are she's going to be like, yep, I've had that in my life. Or even if she hasn't, she can identify with someone who she's worked with that has had that. And so it's not being too proud. It's that humility, but you're not embarrassed. You feel like, oh, I'm really not alone. There's someone that does listen to me and that can help me. And so we take that and we assess where we are. And then we start to plant these goals of where we want to be. And so we have these really long-term goals of, I'm going to make $100,000. I'm going to finally make it to 6 figures a year. And then we go, okay, well, what are these mini goals that we're going to go to get there? Because we want to dream. We want to have that visualization. Like I said, we go back to that mindset, that framework. We have that visualization of, what does that look like for me? If I'm going to make 6 figures, what does that look like? Where do I live? And am I vacationing? And what happens with my family? And what am I doing? And what am I eating? And do I have a personal chef? And do I have a personal maid? And how does that look? Do I have my cars paid off? What do I drive? And so enable for us to get to that goal, we need to map out on our vision board or on our visualization of what that looks like. And that's the fun part. Visualization is so much fun because nothing, I repeat, is out of our realm to reach. And so you want to live on that, that yacht? Is that what you want your 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure life to look like? Okay, you write it on your visualization board. You have that vision and you look at it and you don't know how you're going to get there, but you know you are. And so you don't have to figure out the how. Again, the mindset. You just know that it works. That's where your mind goes. So then complemented with that, you have that structure. You have that platform in place, that framework that says, we're going to take this finance, we're going to take that finance, we're going to figure out what we have, and we're going to figure out where we're going to go. And so that's where the Oola framework, the green gap, comes into play. So once we've set those goals, and once we know what we're going to do, we're taking those baby steps. And there's lots of different stuff accompanied along with it that holds you accountable. It makes you not lose your steam, because a lot of us will start something beginning of the year. You know, we're now getting ready at the end of the third quarter. So I would bet pretty one paycheck that 75% of the people who set those New Year's resolutions in January are not doing them right now in March. And it's just something that happens. And part of that is having that accountability. Part of that is having that person that can walk beside you, keep you, pull you up by your bootstraps and say, we're doing this. Like, you're doing this, you're doing a great job. Because it's so easy to get blocked and to say outside world comes in, and this, my mother-in-law's opinion, and my whatever, I name it. You've got these blockers that come in. And so when you have that accountability piece, and when you have that community that helps you keep going along, then you're more apt to stay with those resolutions, although I don't call them that, but you're more apt to stay with those goals. And so we have pieces in place and little tiny steps to take that allow for that big framework to continue to happen. So to dive a little bit more into the actual Green Gap program, typically it is a 3-week program that we do, and it's a video driven where someone can take their own time, watch the videos. They are led by, like I said, mentioned at the beginning, the 2 Oola guys, Dr. Dave and Dr. Troy, and they kind of start beginning to introduce the material. You have a workbook that goes with it, and then you meet with your coach. And so you can take your time on learning this, but in there, we begin to really get down into the nitty gritty of your finances. And sometimes it's ugly, and sometimes it's things that we haven't looked at. Sometimes people have no idea how much they owe on that credit card. They know they're making the minimum payment plus 10 or whatever that extra is, but they don't know where they sit. And it's frightening and it's scary, and I get it. And that's totally normal to feel that way. But until we can move forward, because what what I say to my clients is, you came to me for a reason. You came to me because you wanted to change. You're not changing if you aren't implementing something new. You're still going to keep the same old if you're not addressing it head on. And so what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different resolution or different solution or different result, but not doing anything different. So we're literally being insane by doing the same thing over again. So we're going to start doing something different now because you came to me to do a different life, to have something different. So we're going to go into those credit cards. We're going to get those statements out. We're going to figure out how much we owe on those student loans, or how much we owe on that car that we leased that we really couldn't afford. And we're just going to see where we sit. And we're going to put down on paper all of those things that are coming in from an income. Maybe like a single mom, she might have some child support coming in. Maybe you're someone who was left, some estate, inheritance. Maybe you've got that coming in. Maybe you have a social security check coming in. We're going to figure out all of that income that's coming in. We're going to figure out all of that debt that's going out. And then very simple, very like basic arithmetic, elementary school math, we're going to subtract what is going out from what is coming in, and that's our gap. Now, a lot of times the situation that I have encountered is that with my clients, sometimes their gap is upside down. And so we need to go in and we need to figure out those expenses of what's happening there that they're not bringing in here and making that gap opposite. We want to be in the green. It's called the green gap program. We want to be up. We don't want to be down in the red. It's not called the red gap program. It's called the green gap program. So we're bringing it into this green area of what we have different. And that's uncomfortable because I had to go through this when I first went divorced. We had cable. The kids watched, like, I think it was Sprout and Nickelodeon Kids and all of these shows that they liked. But you know what? That wasn't in my budget. I was not paying the $49.95 a month for cable. Not that I didn't want to give the world to my kids, but I found ways around it. And I found PBS and how wonderful public broadcasting system was, because there was Clifford and there was Barney and there was the Teletubbies and all of those things, and Arthur and all Dragon Tales and like all these things I'm remembering from my kids that existed, and that was okay for them too. And so I had to cut out the cable, and I literally have not had cable in 20 years, and I don't miss it for 1 ounce. We have Netflix now. Netflix is like what, $15 a month, I think. Like, let me tell you something. And I have Hulu. So like, I still see the same shows, although I'm not a big TV watcher, but I still see everything. I'm still in the loop of what's going on and be able to talk at the water cooler about the latest episode of The Bachelor, which I do watch. I said I don't watch TV, but that's my little guilty pleasure, I guess. But anyway, it's a conversation for another time. So we find out what we can cut, and then it's not such a like doom and gloom, because when you start to see that you're in the green area and you have actually $100 extra in that, you feel better. So you don't miss these things, and you can get them back someday. I'm not saying cancel that cable, you can never get it back. I'm just saying for right now, we're trying to change you right now. You can also find what you can do extra. And something I have found is, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I like handbags. But you know what? Those handbags that I get, I don't always use them. And so I started like my little eBay store, and I started selling these. I mean, they're not like a Chanel or a Louis Vuitton, but they're Michael Kors, they're Kate Spade. Like, I've made some good money on those. And it's not like I didn't like them. It's just, I got them as a gift. I bought them because I thought I had to have them, but they've sat in that closet. They literally still have the stuffing and like the bag that the purse comes in. They still have that sitting there. So if I'm not going to appreciate it and it's just sitting there getting dust, why not make someone else's day? So then I started to be able to see, oh my gosh, like I've got this side income that's like pretty cool. So again, broke to woke. And then there's all kinds of things. Let's say you want to drive for Uber, or let's say you want to, there's so many things that you can do now to make money. That's incredible that it's no longer like doing a side hustle is a bad thing. It's like so fun. I mean, you could do such fun things. One of the things I did at the beginning with my life coaching business is I did Shift. And so I literally would go into the grocery store and I would like shop for someone. I was like someone's personal shopper. And I didn't have to encounter anyone. I could put like my earbuds in and could listen to Spotify and whatever I wanted to listen to. do my shopping, plug along. I, texted someone through the app like, hey, they don't have this, whatever cereal, do you want this? And then I would drop it off at their porch. I never had to interact. So I didn't have to worry about the whole COVID situation, but I got to spend me time and I got to make some extra money. I didn't do that a long time, but it was fun. And who would have thought that having a second job would be fun? So there's, again, if you want to reach out to me and we can come up with some creative ideas, it is unbelievable the way that money can just automatically happen. There's a site online, excuse me, that you can go onto, and you could literally type in your name and see if there's any money owed to you. Not kidding you, my name was on there. Now, it was only like a $200 check, which I didn't want to say only because $1 is important to me, but $200 for no reason because it was some settlement I had with Toyota that I didn't even know I had. But I had a Tercel way back in, like, I don't even know the year. I'm not even going to tell you because I'm going to age myself. But yeah, who knew? $200 because I had a Tercel that I loved that I no longer have. But somewhere, somehow, the VIN number linked back to me, and there you go. So when you start, again, it goes back to that mindset. When you start embodying and believing that you are enough, you have enough, you are rich and wealthy, and that financial abundance is unlimited, you start to really attract that. And it's unbelievable. And again, a key part of that is that gratitude, giving thanks, giving back, because you want to continue to circulate that. The law of circulation. Another tip I have, and I know I'm going into a tiny tangent, I want to get back to the Oola Green Gap thing, but another tip that I have is when you're writing your bills, or maybe they're coming out online and you're reviewing it, and you're trying to kind of make sure that everything balances, give thanks that you have that power. Give thanks that you have that insurance for your car, because as you want people to pay you, whether you're self-employed or you're a homemaker and your partner is bringing in the money, or you work for a company, you're being paid, give thanks for that law of circulation. Because when you are paying out to that power company, to that cell phone company, to that whatever company, that bill that people hate paying, you are just making your income come back to you. It's a cycle, it's a circle. You pay out, the money comes to you. You want to be thanked for the job that you do. You want to get that income from your clients. You want them to give thanks for you, so you give thanks for those bills. It's very simple. It's a mindset. Okay, so I'm off on my tangent. So let's go back to the green gap. So we're back to making that gap in a positive manner. Now, once we have maximized and we figured out where we are, then we want to start to really build. And this is where the fun part comes in. We want to find out what we have left over. And now say between where we did have $100, we've combined everything, we figured it all out. We now want to go to the, now we have $1,000 that we have in that extra. So where the green gap, the nitty gritty that this whole conversation has led to, is we have that formula. I'm not going to give it to you right now, but I'm going to tell you. I know I'm being a tease right now, but let me tell you. It is a specific formula. I'll give you like a hint. You put a certain percentage toward your investment. Actually, let's start with the beginning. You put a certain percentage toward what the debt that you need to pay off. You put a certain percentage toward an investment, and you put a certain percentage, and this is the key that works, is you put a certain percentage to you, the you fund. Because if you follow other programs out there, they do work, and there are financial advisors that are on the money, but a lot of those programs miss the part about you. And if you're sitting in that and you feel like you're like, man, I don't have any money and I don't see a light at the end of my tunnel, you're not gonna appreciate it. It's not gonna sit with you. So put that money toward you, that percentage, and live and spend every single dollar of that, because you deserve it. You are wealthy. You are prosperous. You have all the unlimited abundance in the world that the universe provides. So I'm going to leave. I'm going to kind of close up with that. I do have a few minutes for questions. Well, actually, we could do a few minutes of questions, answers if there are. But if you want to know what that percentage is, then reach out to me. Like I said, or even Mona, like reach out to anyone that represents the Oola Green Gap. My company name is Solga. You can find me on any social media platform. Very simple. It's at the hashtag Solga Life Coach. If you go on to view my website, it's solgalifecoach.com. And Solga is basically, it started with, I was a yoga instructor, so it was yoga for the body and the soul. So it's SOU, your soul, GA, Solga, lifecoach.com. And so I have phone numbers on there. I have, all different ways that you can reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to share with you that percentage. I'll be more than happy to write an affirmation for you. I will be more than happy to offer you a complimentary call with me. We call it a discovery call, but if that's like whatever to you, just talk to me. Like we can talk for 30 minutes. I will give you 30 minutes of my time just to be able to help you. So if there are any questions, I do want to open it up for that. We only have maybe 8 minutes for them, but if there's anything that I didn't cover that you do want to ask, then I am here for that. So I know I cut it kind of close with the questions and answers, but have at it.
I don't think you cut it close, Michelle. There was so much information in there and so many things to really take note of. Yeah, definitely need to speak to you for a longer time and really delve into these things.
Thank you, Oscar.
This is not new to me. I've read Think and Grow Rich. Great movie. What the Bleep Do You Know?
Yes.
And things like that people don't realize. What you put out is what you get back. And we've talked about this in other shows that we've been programmed to fail. So it takes someone like you and Mona and people that say, hey, been there, done that, take the red pill. Now let's find out how to reverse this and get back to what reality really is, not what we've been taught and our which is now our self-imposed limitations because of bad programming.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for adding that. I feel so validated in this second.
Well, you're preaching to the choir here in this group.
Yeah,
Phil.
I mean, I thought that was really informative, Michelle, on just your journey in itself. And so the question, I always ask this question, so Oscar's going to probably recognize me asking this, but it's just a matter of the discipline of doing it, right? And I always try to explore the emotional journey of that.
Mm-hmm.
So and especially when it comes to the kids, right? You even mentioned it, like, okay, I have kids that, I had to take away their favorite programs and switch them, kind of like switch them over to, hey, there's Barney on this side. I mean, what was that like? Just for those who are kind of wanting to know.
Okay, well, thankfully I was blessed with a very strong foundation in metaphysics. So I was able to pull myself out kind of quickly, but it's actually empowering because you feel guilty as a mom. And I think that just comes with the territory, no matter how grounded you are in any foundation or structure that you were brought up in. Those kids can pull at a heartstring like nobody's business. And so I literally had to say, my kids have no idea that they aren't getting paid for Sprout Network. And by the way, I don't know if that's still there, but that was the best network ever. My kids don't know that. They don't know that they're getting PBS. And by the way, PBS is wonderful. Like that was in my head. That was my scarcity mentality. They have no different. So they just knew, oh, wow, we got a new show to watch. And so that helped kind of pull me out of my little drama in my head of being inadequate as a mother. But it was very real.
Yeah. I'm sure. Go ahead.
And I'm sorry. And I want to know what was going on in your head when all of this hit at the same time, the foreclosure, what was that limiting voice in your head saying, and how did you tell it to like take a hike?
That is a wonderful question. That was, and I spoke at the beginning about those affirmations. I am not kidding you. and I don't have one right in front of me, but I carry a 3x5 note card with me. And whatever affirmation I need during the time I'm going through, because we don't just get solved or one and done. It's a continual process throughout our whole life. I literally, I'm not kidding. I had to read affirmations 24/7 because it was, if I looked at the grand picture, I wouldn't have made it through. So I had to literally take like, I made it through today, or one was, I am whole, perfect, and complete. That was like one I memorized. And anytime that doubt or that lack came into play, I said, oh, back up, stop. I am, whole, perfect, and complete. I am enough. I am this. And I don't know if our audience is familiar with Louise Hay. She writes really, really great affirmations. And I would literally go on there and be like, okay, I'm writing this for today. And it was overkill sometimes, but I needed that was my crutch, my 3x5 note card, to write that affirmation down, to convince myself that I really was what I was saying.
Well, sometimes overkill is a good thing.
Absolutely.
I think, because sometimes you need that overflow of, positive thinking that you are going to make it. And what I try to assimilate that to like climbing a cliff, right? If you're climbing a cliff, the recommendation is look where you're going and not where you're coming from.
Yes.
Because the more you look down is the less of a chance that you're going to get where you're going.
Yes.
And life is the same principle. Life has that same principle of, if you look down, you're going to keep focusing on, oh my God, I'm going to go back to where I came from.
Yes.
Or you can keep looking at where you're going and looking at ways to do that. And our mind has a creative power to it that it figures things out. It figures, if you just give it that little opportunity to start being creative, it starts to figure certain things out, survival things like, okay, now I have to do this. Now I have to do that. And you find that you'll get to where you're going because now your mind is focused on it.
Yeah, I almost feel like I'm going to cry right now. It's like, you are so much like, I don't know. It's wonderful how we could have never met in our whole life.
Right.
Connected like that.
It's nice having when you find your tribe. You're like, I know these people belong in my tribe.
Yeah, you're right.
It's funny. You said that was overkill, right? So I'm looking at it. That is old programming. That was not overkill. That was exactly what you need to do. Someone that, like my favorite saying is, never ask someone how to take a 1,000-mile trip who's never left the house.
Wow.
You can't ask for advice from someone that hasn't been in your shoes and to say, okay, I need to do an affirmation every single second, because if I stop, that old program, in the Mack truck is coming by and is like, no, we have to do everything we've always done. Even that change for the positive is scary because it's not programmed in our subconscious. So, we can go hours into the bad programming and Robert, what's his name from, oh my God, don't get old. It's Bob Proctor.
Yeah, Bob Proctor.
And he's got a video out that he made for free now that was years old. It's very dated. You Were Born Rich. It's available on YouTube. It's like 10 hours of video. And he goes through the specifics of how we are programmed by the age of 7 years old to be who we are.
Right.
And once it's in the subconscious, that's 90% of how our brain works.
Yes.
And anything that doesn't fit in that subconscious mold could kill us.
Yes.
That's what the subconscious is doing. So, we can go hours of fun talking about this. But, we can talk about it all we want. But if you don't have a coach to grab you by the hand and say, here's your next step.
Yeah.
What is it? There's a word. You guys talk while I remember something.
Michelle, before we go, I want you to give your information one more time.
Okay.
So that the folks can remember it. I know Mona's information is on the banner, and they're familiar with Mona, but you can give your information, and we're going to go into our next segment after this, which is Focus on You. We have two wonderful guests coming on. Brother Rowe, he's a financial empowerment Yeah, and he's going to be talking about investing, and also with a friend of his, Will, who is going to be partnering with him. We're going to talk about that and how you can get involved in investing in stocks. All right. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting program. But I want to give you information really quickly, and
Okay.
then we're going to slide off and end our program here and then go into that.
I first want to say I'm so grateful that I got to do this today. We definitely need to connect all the time now. Like I felt when Oscar said my tribe, I am there. We're woke. But yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm Solga, SOUL, Solga, GA, lifecoach.com, and then handle at Solga Life Coach on any of the social media platforms. And then from there, you can get all the other info. And I wanted to say about the coach, Oscar had a really good point. Even the most influential people that we consider at the top have coaches.
Absolutely. Somebody always has someone helping them to get to the next level.
Absolutely.
That's all right, everyone. We'll see you in another few minutes. Take care.
Thank you. I love you guys. You are awesome.
We love you too, Michelle. All right.
You're like a circle that floats around me, keeping me safe and sound. And when I